Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
Filling in for Terry Stiles this week, I'm Rachel Baker. In this week's news, a former Oxford business owner passes away, a crisis hotline to help human trafficking victims, and a World War II vet shares his atomic bomb experiences.
Stay tuned, learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Concerned parents and Addison Township residents packed a March 8th Zoning Board of Appeals meeting to voice their opposition to a proposed cell tower planned for the northeast corner of Hosner and Oakwood Roads. This was a ZBA's second public hearing regarding the tower following an order by an Oakland County Circuit Court judge. In the January 25th order, Circuit Judge Daniel Patrick O'Brien ruled the ZBA must conduct a public hearing on the issue of a fall zone, which is an area around the cell tower should the tower fall.
Good news for homeowners in need of some free yard work this spring. There is still time to sign up for the third annual Oxford Gives Back Work Weekend. The deadline to sign up is March 30th. The work weekend is scheduled for Saturday, April 28th and Sunday, April 29th. The program is open to homeowners in Oxford, Addison, and Orion Townships.
Last week, the Oxford Library hosted the Read to a Dog program. As part of the program, kids attending the Oxford Public Library event got to meet an 8-year-old visiting golden retriever. Charlie, the dog, sat and listened patiently while kids of all ages read aloud to him, all the while petting and hugging him.
To adults, childhood can seem like a carefree time with no worries or headaches. But kids still experience stress. Pressures from school and peers can sometimes be overwhelming. The Oxford Addison Youth Assistants decided to take charge and help solve this problem by implementing mindfulness and movement workshops to Oxford students. All second graders at Lakeville, Leonard, and Daniel Axford Elementaries have been learning techniques that will help them better cope with stress and prepare them for the greater stresses that will face them later in life.
For those dealing with serious issues, crisis hotlines provide support for issues such as suicide prevention, domestic violence, and substance abuse. Now a human trafficking hotline is coming soon to Oakland County. I want to say that most don't realize it, but human trafficking is the second largest criminal activity in the state. Trained volunteers will soon be able to answer calls to help victims involved in this crime. County Commissioner Mike Spiz made the announcement last week at the Michigan Abolitionist Project's Lake Orion and Oxford Community Group.
Atomic bombs played a significant role in World War II vet Stephen Matchko's youth. Last week, the 91-year-old Oxford Village resident sat down with the Oxford leader to talk about atomic weapons and his tour in the United States Navy from October 1944 to October 1947. Right away, Matchko stressed his gratitude to the U.S. Navy for all it did for him. Check out the Oxford leader for the full story.
Martin James Bushman, owner and operator of Jim's Family Restaurant in Oxford Village, passed away on March 6th. He was 85 years of age. Bushman, who went by Jim, spent most of his life working in the food industry, and at the age of 13, he got his first after-school job washing dishes at a Lake Orion restaurant. He will surely be missed by all.
And that's Oxford News for this week. If you would like to learn more about these stories and others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us on our website, occtv.org. You can also find us on YouTube and, of course, our regular channels, Charter 191 and AT&T Channel 99.
And coming up soon, John Ochins with the school news and OCTV's very own Cody Wright with the sports report. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kinney.
I'm Rachel Baker. Thanks for watching Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
I call you and say, I'm with the IRS. You owe back taxes, and if you don't pay today, you're going to jail. You can fix this by sending cash. Did you actually believe me? Too smart to fall for it? Well, last year, Americans paid $100 million to guys like me. 1 in 6 people were scammed. Can you believe it? Well, you shouldn't. I just made that up too. You are a little gullible.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, increasing numbers of people in the U.S. say exposures to fragrance products is making them ill. According to a survey of more than 1,100 people, 1 in 4 are now sensitive to everyday chemicals found in products like deodorants and air fresheners. We're exposed to these chemicals continuously, but people may not realize they're being harmed until it's too late, and then they have chemical sensitivity, says Anne Steinemann at the University of Melbourne in Australia, who conducted the survey. Back in 2002, less than 3% of respondents to a similar survey said they had been medically diagnosed with sensitivity to such chemicals. But in the latest survey, this has risen to 13%, with 26% diagnosing themselves as experiencing physical reactions to chemicals. Asthmatic conditions or problems were most prominent, reported by 71% of those with medically diagnosed sensitivity and 58% of the self-reporters. Migraines, skin problems, and shortness of breath were also commonly reported symptoms. Of the 145 respondents with medically diagnosed sensitivity, almost 60% said they no longer could bear to visit public restrooms that use air fresheners, deodorizers, or scented products. More than half, 55%, couldn't wash their hands if soap contains fragrances. Of those who had been medically diagnosed, 58% were men and 42% were women. The most sensitive age group in men was ages 25 to 34. The survey found that 71% of those who are medically diagnosed sensitivity support fragrance-free policies in workplaces, with 82% supporting a ban in healthcare facilities. My studies have found that many more people prefer hotels, airplanes, workplaces, healthcare facilities, and business premises that are fragrance-free, says Steinemann. Wow. And in the solar system, the mystery of the sun's super-hot atmosphere may lie in giant loops of plasma that are mostly invisible to today's solar probes. Normally, the further you go from a heat source, the cooler it gets. Not so with the sun. Its surface is a sizzling 6,000 degrees centigrade, that is to say Celsius, but the corona, despite being further from the sun's nuclear core, reaches more than 1,000,000 degrees. Physicists aim to solve this mystery by mapping the coronal loops, streams of hot, glowing plasma that follow magnetic lines that rise from the sun's surface and fall back in. Since 2010, NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory has been providing pictures of these loops. The images show ultraviolet radiation that is emitted by ionized elements such as iron in the plasma. Now, Gregory Fleischman at the New Jersey Institute of Technology and his colleagues have shown that these ions aren't distributed uniformly throughout the loop. The researchers analyzed the properties of the electric current that flows through the plasma along the loops, as well as its effect on the ions. They found that regions where the electric current is positive, meaning it's flowing out of the sun's surface, act as ion traps, creating a high density of ions of heavy elements there while depleting them elsewhere in the loop. The implication is the loops may not be emitting ultraviolet light from their entire length, but rather only from regions where the ions are found in high concentration. This could mean we are missing part of the picture, says team member Sophie Mussett at the University of Minnesota. Maybe there are some loops which are not emitting ultraviolet, she says, and if so, these wouldn't show up in UV images. This will have to be accounted for in models that try to explain the extreme temperatures of the corona, says Mussett, and the search goes on. In our last story, a high-veg diet can help treat type 2 diabetes, and it seems to do this by altering gut bacteria. Lipxing Zhao at Shanghai Jiangtong University in China and his colleagues compared the effects of 2 diets in people with type 2 diabetes. Over 12 weeks, 16 people followed a low-fat, low-carb diet, while 27 people ate a lot of high-fiber foods such as whole grains and vegetables. Both groups also took a drug that slows the digestion of starch, allowing it to reach the large intestine where microbes feed upon it. By the end of the trial, 89% of those on the high-fiber diet showed signs of better blood sugar regulation compared with 50% of the control group. The team then looked at the strains of gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, which are thought to be good for our health. They found that 15 strains became more abundant in those that responded best to the diet. Zhao wants to find other ways to boost these strains in people with diabetes and hopes the team's findings could be used to develop probiotic treatments. Wow. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Earth Hour, a grassroots movement born in Sydney in 2007, has seen 10,400 landmarks, over 7,000 cities in 172 countries and territories switch off for climate action. Together, individuals and communities have built a people-powered global movement to create real change, lighting up homes and lives with solar power in India and the Philippines, providing families with fuel-efficient stoves in Nepal and Madagascar, and helping communities get back on their feet after Typhoon Haiyan with climate-smart boats. We have successfully banned plastic in the World Heritage Site of the Galapagos Islands and planted the world's first Earth Hour forest in Uganda, a country losing thousands of hectares to deforestation every month. Together, we've made a lasting difference, but we must continue to protect our planet, our home. This Earth Hour, join us to shine a light on climate action. Together, let's change climate change.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcat School Update. It's been just over a month since the murder of 17 people on a high school campus in Parkland, Florida. During the last few days, Oxford High kids remembered each of the victims separately during morning announcements. Assistant Superintendent of Finance Sam Barna heads the Oxford Schools Safety Committee. He brings us up to date on some training coming up.
Fortunately, with the recent tragedy in Florida, there has been obviously greater emphasis on obviously active shooters specifically. I personally have taken training on what's called ALICE training, which is active shooter training, in the past 2 years. We have recently basically signed a contract with the ALICE Training Institute to roll out training to our staff in the district, both with a blended learning component. So what I mean by that is specifically we'll roll out to over 660 staff members online training for active shooter scenarios, as well as a live drill or live drills within the district going forward. Those are yet to be determined in terms of the when and the where. So that's a first step, but we've been doing in terms of training. But we have been making improvements throughout the district, and we will continue to be making improvements from a safety and security standpoint, obviously to try to ensure that we have not only the equipment in place, but also the correct personnel trained, as well as getting the students involved and understanding for them that it's okay to say when something either doesn't sound or look right within the district.
One of Oxford's latest virtual ed efforts has been approved. It's the Charter Virtual Ed program. It will enable the district to expand its virtual ed abilities beyond the current limitations. Oxford is also looking into the possibility of providing virtual ed to prison inmates. Jill Lemonde is in charge. She explains.
Okay, so we're working with a few different vendors or suppliers to for hardware and things like that to provide the best solution possible. And what we'll do is we'll bid out on the proposal. We'll bid for it, and we're going to provide them with some variable pricing based on need and different options that they might want. And so then, presuming that they choose our proposal to gain more information, we'll have a bidders meeting with them or some sort of presentation where we can discuss more in depth our solution.
And who is this we'd be negotiating? Was the state or?
Yep, Department of Corrections.
That's for the state of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
The proposal is due by March 23rd. We'll keep you posted. There's some victory dances going on at OHS. Our team Torque 2137 just got back from a regional robotics tournament in Waterford. They came back with the coveted Chairman's Award and a shot at states.
The Chairman's Award is the most prestigious award you can win in a robotics competition. It's where teams who participate have to prove that their team exemplifies the beliefs and values that FIRST has stated that they want to be portrayed by robotics teams. You have to present how much charity work you do and how often you help out your community and other teams at competitions and in general.
And how do you present this? Do you guys put a video together for one thing, didn't you?
You present in a room filled with usually 2 or 3 judges, and you have 3 presenters that present with a prop, and after that the judges take all of the presentations and they decide who should win.
Our video can actually be found on our YouTube channel, so if you search for our team, you can actually watch the video.
As for the robot itself, some ups and downs.
Had a bit of a rough time. Our elevator actually snapped clean off of our robot after the second match that we played. So not like snapped as in bolts came off, like the welds snapped clean off of the robot. So we spent our entire lunch break and part of before the next match trying to frantically bolt it back on. But it worked, and we ended up doing okay. We made it to, what is it, the quarterfinals? Yeah, we made it to, we got selected on an alliance.
Well, you guys are able to go to the state finals, aren't you?
Because of the chairmans,
In
not
Saginaw?
because of our robot.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Hey, you get to go
Yeah.
there.
There's still going to be like a pretty good chance we'd be able to go to states like without the chairman's award based on our like what we'd be able to do with the next competition. But this is really nice is that, well, not only because it's like a chairman's award, like that's awesome, but it's also just a guaranteed we're going to states.
The kids there are Ellie Mendoza, Kira and Liam Houston, Ethan Madison, and Gabe Ochins. Oxford Gives Back is getting up and running. For this year, Senior Madison Sparks is in charge. We sat down with her, Katie Main, and Caitlin Gata to learn more.
Well, this is the spring cleanup that we've done for 3 years in a row now. And so right now we're in the processes of getting homeowners and volunteers, getting the information out, getting the word out to people, and just trying to get as many volunteers and help the people out who need it.
Now, just for the sake of comparison, well, for one thing, last year it was bigger and better than they ever hoped for, as I recall.
Yes, it was huge.
Do you remember how many guys participated in that last year? How many helpers? Roughly. Just
Roughly 800 volunteers.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And how many homes did they work
We had a
on?
little over 100 homes.
I asked them what their goals were for this year.
This year it's not as big right now, but
like 80 to 90, I think.
yeah, that's looking like what it'll end with. Right now we're at about 46 homes. So, but we have homeowners coming in and contacting me almost every day. So it goes up pretty fast.
And how many volunteers do you have so far, or have you started the process yet?
We've started the process just with our site leaders, and those are the people that are kind of like on charge on the site of the homeowners and stuff. And so we've sent out the link of our Sign Up Genius to them. And so we've had, I think we can say we have about 60 volunteers right now.
You can sign up online, and contributions are welcome at Oxford High. The event takes place April 28th and 29th. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Hi, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Together, David and I host OCTV's weekly show, Minutes by Minutes.
The show presents our sometimes humorous interpretation of what your elected politicians are doing to enact regulations and ordinances that ultimately affect us all, keeping your news closer to home and reporting political shenanigans from Oxford and Addison Township, including the villages of Leonard and Oxford.
Catch Minutes by Minutes on Charter Channel 191 or AT&T Channel 99. Tune in Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. and 11:30 p.m. and Saturday, 11:30 a.m.
If you don't have Charter or AT&T, you can watch us on our local website, OCCTV.org, or OCTV Oxford, Michigan on YouTube. See you there.
Hello, Wildcat fans. Cody Wright back here with the Sports Report. There is not much to say this week. This winter sports season was a good one, but I think it is safe to say it's time to move on. We witnessed the girls bowling team winning the state title, which is something that hasn't been done before in Oxford history. The boys and girls basketball clubs had a good season overall, showed a lot of progress, and for that we look forward to next year. Wrestling was outstanding this year. Our hockey team showed a lot of progress. The boys swim team broke records. The list goes on. Good luck to all of the seniors who will be moving on to higher levels next season. And we look forward to the freshmen who will join our high school sports program next year as well. I don't know about you, but I am certainly ready for some spring sports right about now. Baseball, softball, golf, lacrosse, track, soccer, and tennis will all be in the program. It won't be long, and full schedules will be in our lap in all of these different sports, and we'll have plenty to talk about. If you're interested in this spring season to come and want to be on top of the ball, go to oxfordathletics.org and you will find all the information you need right there. Tryouts, preseason, full schedules if they are available yet. The sport might vary, but that is the place to go to. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. If you want to reminisce about the winter season, we also have just what you need at OCCTV.org. We covered, filmed, and edited many of the events that took place here at home this year, and they are all right there on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is OCCTV.org. And last but not least, check out our coverage of the Oxford Paws Special Olympics basketball game against Lake Orion, which took place last Friday during the school day in the Ian Smith Gymnasium at the high school. All of the students were excused from class to attend the game and cheer on all of the athletes competing. And the good news is Oxford took the win. However, this game was all about fun and development, and I think both teams would agree. So head on over to our YouTube page and check out the full game. Once again, that is OCCTV.org. I want to thank you all for watching, but I'm afraid that's all we have for this week. Until next time, I am Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. Yes, that's a Buick without the Buick name badge. Starting with the 2019 model year, Buick vehicles will no longer bear the name in North America. As each vehicle shifts to the next model year, the company said the naming badge will disappear. Ditching the Buick script first was the 2019 Buick Envision. The badge was conspicuously absent during the premiere of the vehicle's mid-cycle refresh last month. It was a small running change that we didn't view as especially worth announcing to the world, but I've been pretty amazed by the interest in it in the past couple of days, Buick spokesman Stuart Fowles said. The main reason for dropping the script is consistency across the marketplaces, according to Fowles. Since launching Buick in China, the only market outside of North America for the brand, the badge has been absent on those vehicles. But market research Buick conducted revealed that 3 out of 4 consumers recognized the Tri-Shield badge as Buick without seeing the name. Across the industry, Buick found that name badges are disappearing more and more from vehicles. The exception Buick found is the pickup market, where the badges appear to be getting bigger and bigger in each model iteration. Another benefit of losing the Buick script is clearing space for the Avenir name. Buick's upscale sub-brand is currently marketed on 2 front doors of the Enclave and the LaCrosse, though nothing today identifies the Avenir from the rear, Fowles said, and there will be space. And over at Porsche is joining Daimler, Volvo owner Geely, and Italy Design as companies see flying cars as a way to escape congested roads in the world's megacities. Cities the world over have struggled to keep pace with a constant influx of new residents, according to Porsche, and it can take hours to reach the airport in many major metropolitan areas. There's another dimension out there that is completely empty of any traffic jams. Porsche sales chief Detlev Van Patten said at a press event at the company's offices. So why shouldn't we develop something in this direction? Think about Mexico or Brazil. There are cities that are overflowing, and if you want to travel 12 miles, it can take 4 hours. In the air, it only takes a few minutes, Van Patten said. Porsche believes so-called three-dimensional mobility, in which drones quickly bypass congested roads on the ground by taking to the sky, would be better differentiate itself from competitors. Just like you drive a Porsche, you would fly the drone without needing a pilot or your own license, Van Patten said. Porsche is in the early stages of drawing up a blueprint for a flying taxi, but expects it could take up to a decade to finalize technology before they can launch in real traffic, Development Chief Michael Steiner said in Geneva Auto Show about 2 weeks ago. At the Geneva Auto Show 2 weeks ago, Italdesign and Audi presented the Pop-Up Next, a further development of the pop-up self-driving ground car and flying cab modular concept shown last year at the same venue. Italdesign, Audi, and Porsche are all Volkswagen Group companies. Daimler was last year among companies that invested in Germany's Volocopter to help develop an electric flying taxi. Volocopter is developing a 5-seat vertical takeoff and landing, or VTOL, aircraft aimed at the taxi market. Wow. And on the recall front, Ford Motor Company is recalling nearly 1.4 million Ford Fusion and Lincoln MKZ sedans in North America because loose bolts could allow the steering wheel to come off. The automaker said it knows of 2 accidents and 1 injury linked to the problem, which federal regulators began investigating in October. Ford said the steering wheel bolt can loosen over time, resulting in detachment of the wheel and loss of steering control. The recall covers the following vehicles: 2014 to 2017 Fusions built in the Flat Rock, Michigan plant from August 6, 2013 to February 29th in 2016, and 2014 to 2018 Fusions and MKZs built in Hermosillo, Mexico from July 25, 2013 to March 5, 2018. Ford is telling dealers to install a longer steering wheel bolt with more robust thread engagement and larger nylon patch placed properly for proper torque retention. It's the second time in the last month that an automaker has had to initiate a recall for steering wheels that can fall off. Hyundai recalled about 44,000 of its Santa Fe and Santa Fe Sport crossovers in late February, saying the steering wheel assembly could break. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.